So the special coverage continues of the mini polls across the country, and Kenyans who have headed to the ballot today to exercise their democratic right in the electoral units that the IEBC had scheduled to go to the polls today. A lot to take you through, including all the activities of the morning.
That's right. Good afternoon. My name is Olive Burrows and I'm joined by Ayub Abdikadir. We begin by just reminding you what the electoral areas are. We're talking about 22 electoral areas, and that includes 1 Senate seat, which is in Baringo, and we have 6 National Assembly seats up for grabs and 15 in the County Assembly. We begin with Kasipul constituency, which has 67,513 registered voters. Ayub, you could take us through the candidates?
Yes, Ongondo Boydwere is the son of the late MP who was assassinated here in Nairobi County, of the Orange Democratic Movement, the ODM party. Aroko Philip Nashon is an independent candidate, and this has shaped up to be a very tight race between the two. And there are also others, including Jesse Samson, who is part of those who are seeking the mandate, and Collins Okeo Omondi, the Movement of Democracy and Growth, Ishmael Omondi Oyo of the National Liberal Party, Kotiende Sam Rateng Okoth, the United Progressive Alliance, Aoko Linda Uma, an independent candidate, and Bior Robert Mani, who is also an independent candidate. And we had also seen the violence that was witnessed in Kasipul constituency before heading to Malava constituency, and to get the details of the other candidates. Ideally, what's shaping up to be a rather very hotly contested election based on not party lines, but also 2 individuals of immense popularity in Kasipul constituency.
All right, so let's just quickly take a look at the numbers in Malava before we listen into what transpired there earlier. We have 94,417 voters registered in Malava constituency, and the candidates are David Athman Ndakwa of UDA, Seth Ambusini Panyako of the Democracy Action Party Kenya. We also have Edgar Busiega Mwanga of the Democracy for the Citizens Party, DCP, Wilberforce Ndai Tuve of Kenya Moja Movement, James Shinachi Angatia of the Alliance for Change Party, and the list does go on because we have more candidates on the ballot. We also have on the ballot Job Burudi Manyasi of the Democratic National Alliance, Shiva Kale Bruce Jason of Entrust Pioneer Party, Benjamin Nalwa of the National Ordinary People Empowerment Union, and George Ngaira Oyuge of the Party of Democratic Unity.
Yeah, and in relation to this, Olive, we had seen how intense the campaigns were, and also the last-minute withdrawal of the security of Governor George Natembeya, who was campaigning for Seth Panyako of the Democratic Action Party, plus also Senator Boni Khalwale, and the pictures that came out of Malava constituency this morning. And to put a flesh on that bone will be shortly, but first here is what Seth Panyako, the Democratic Action Party of Kenya candidate, said this morning after polling.
There was no police. Matete police station said they had no vehicle. The vehicle had gone to Malava. When I called the county commandant, she told me she's intervening. The first one I called, she took it lightly. She didn't intervene. I wrote her message. She refused to read my call. I wrote her message, then she called back. I asked her, I've just calling you to report that I'm under attack, and you disconnect my call. Then we left, of course. We had to find a way out. But I can assure you that a person who attacks your driver, your personal driver, and injures him, is a person who is coming after your life. I have no drivers speaking today. My driver has been grievously injured. I have many of my employees who work at the hotel. 10 so far we have seen. 1 is still in theater as we talk. They have been grievously injured.
One of the victims of this attack had his intestines actually torn out. As we left Webuye Sub-County Hospital, he was in theater, and he's not out of danger yet. Would want to request you that you accompany us there, and we also would like you as the media, as our key partners, free media being the cornerstone of our democracy, to know that our democracy is facing its darkest hour of peril. And you, the media, can actually defend our democracy by exposing all electoral malpractices. One of those under Article 81 of our Constitution that undermines free and fair elections is violence. The other malpractice is, of course, voter bribery. And the third, which is a tool that this regime is employing, is ballot stuffing. We did realize yesterday that we had quite a number of ballots that are unaccounted for because the serialization of the over 800,000 ballots printed in Greece was tampered with. They did not allow us as participants in this electoral process to inspect and to verify these ballots, which was a grievous omission by IEBC. And we do know that the serialization has quite a number that are unaccounted for in terms of ballots. These ballots, 10,000 have been imported into Malava constituency. We are aware another 10,000 has been imported to Magarini, and 15,000 has been imported into Mbeere North. The tool of violence, the violence visited on our candidate directly, is meant to create the environment, conducive environment for voter stuffing and voter suppression. We want to urge all our supporters across the country, from Magarini to Mbeere to Malava, to come out. The only way we can defeat this system is by coming out in large numbers. We have over 90,000 registered voters in Malava. So even if they cast 10,000 ballots that are not for the people of Malava, and the people of Malava come out in large numbers, we shall overwhelm them.
All right, that was Malava constituency earlier. We have an update from Kasipul constituency now, and 17 people have been arrested with crude weapons, that is machetes, patrolling Kasipul using a pro box. The DCI sleuths, in collaboration with regular police, are currently trailing a group of youth believed to be having a Seska pistol snatched from Homa Bay Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma. And Crispin Otieno, who is on ground for us, says that has been confirmed by the Karachuonyo South OCPD, Philemon Saira. Do you mind taking us through that again?
Yes, and this is in relation to the arrests made in Kasipul by the authorities and the confirmation that they are also trailing a group of youth who are believed to have snatched a Seska pistol from the security detail of Homa Bay Town MP Peter Opondo Kaluma following what ensued this morning, and he was inflicted with injuries. Spoke to the media. Our team will be giving us details about what he had gone through, and this is according to the confirmation by Karachuonyo South OCPD Philemon Saira, who has confirmed the arrests and the investigations underway into the tracing of the persons believed to be having the Seska pistol belonging to the security detail of Homa Bay Town MP Peter Opondo Kaluma, and what ensued at Agoro Sare School, the polling station where he was at the time, before a group of young people descended on him, and oozing blood, he spoke to the media and the injuries he was inflicted following that incident.
All right, let's get an update on who are on the ballot in Ugunja constituency. And the number of registered voters there is 60,114. And on the ballot, we have Moses Okoth Omondi of ODM, Frederick Odhiambo Ochieng of UDM. We also have Eric Ochieng Ofiro of the Jubilee Party, Johannes Orodi Davens Odhiambo of the Wiper Patriotic Front, and Vincent Yawa Olengo of the Kenya Moja movement. Ayub?
And interesting, because these are the five who are seeking to succeed. And the list continues, of course, with Crispin Odwor Omondi, Lillian Akinya Kech, Morris Juma Okumu, Oliver Ochieng Ochuka, and Benson Obol Otieno of the United Green Movement. Interesting, this is the replacement sought for the CS Energy Opiyo Wandayi who was the minority leader at the National Assembly before his absorption into cabinet following the 2024 events, which had seen him and others also absorption into cabinet and now serving, therefore rendering this constituency without a lawmaker. And let's cross over and listen in to what has happened in Ugunja constituency in the county of Siaya.
Many Kenyans, of course, know that this IBC team is newly placed in office. It hasn't taken long since it was inaugurated. But going by what I've seen so far, they have mastered the game. And I only hope that this will continue. There can be no perfection. I mean, 100% perfection. Yes, there could be teething problems here and there. There could be hitches here and there. But that is the exception rather than the rule. So I think we must commend the IBC, headed by the chairman, Mr. Ethekon, and his entire structure. We want Kenyans to give the IBC space and time to execute its constitutional mandate, rather than keeping harassing the commission, left, right, and center. Okay? We want leaders to show the way by giving the public hope that our institutions of democracy, even though they are nascent, they can be made to work.
That's Ugunja and the former member of parliament. Here are the pictures of the early morning voting when the polling centers opened in Ugunja constituency in Siaya County, where Laura Otieno has been camping since the past 96 hours and giving us the details throughout this broadcast when it began at 6 in the morning. And here are the IEBC officials who since early morning were helping the people of Ugunja constituency vote seamlessly to elect their next member of parliament to replace Opiyo Wandayi, who since his naming of as a cabinet in 2024 rendered the constituency without a member of parliament. The dynamics, of course, is speaking to how the seat equally has attracted the attention of many who are seeking the mandate of the people. And as Malava and Mbeere North never did, and there were no reported incidents of insecurity or violence in Ugunja constituency, Olive, pointing to the direction of how seamless the voting process has been, and as also alluded to by the former MP Opiyo Wandayi, appreciating the institutions of democracy, though nascent they are, their relevance in Kenya's democracy and how this process will be given birth to the next member of parliament who will take after him. All right, so just speaking of the constituencies, we've looked at Malava, we've looked at Ugunja and Kasipul. Yeah. So we also have other constituencies where people are going to vote in today's by-elections. We're talking about Banisa in northern Kenya. We also have at the Coast Magarini constituency. Mbeere North, which is hotly unlike Ugunja. We have witnessed some series of activities this morning, including one that involved the former Attorney General. Justin Muturi, yes, former Speaker, National Assembly as well. So that is one of the hotly contested seats, Mbeere North. Several remarks have been made by those in leadership. Some of the stories we carried last night were about exchange of accusations of plans to interfere with the vote today. You did speak to Commissioner Alutalala Muhwana, who was in Magarini, and we'll get more on his sentiments. But first, we do have, aside from the parliamentary by-elections, we have those in the wards, 15. 2 of them were no contest, and so there will be no by-election, or there is no by-election in those 2 CAWs, that is County Assembly wards. But we do have one in Mumbuni North in Machakos County. We do have an update on what is happening there. If we could cross over to Enoch Muswe, who is standing by to give us details. Enoch, this morning we saw the former governor and CS Labour Alfred Mutua visiting one of the polling centers and an environment that rather looked so hostile. What details can you tell us?
Na asante sana kutoka studio. Sai niko katika eneo la Kasinga Primary ambapo CS Alfred Mutua alifika asubuhi na kalete candidate wake wa chama cha maendeleo Chapchap, ambapo baada ya kupiga kura walitoka nje na kuanza kuongea na wanahabari, na ambapo watu wa vyama zile zingine ama wale walikuwa tuseme agents wa wale wengine wakasema CS Mutua hafai kuongelelea katika polling center, na hapo ndio kulitokea vurugu ambapo watu walisema anafaa kutoka nje, na kama ni kuongelelea sheria inasema atoke mita 400 aongee na wananchi. Na hapo alisaidiwa na maafisa wa polisi kutoka Machakos ambapo walikuja kwa haraka, alafu vurugu zikaisha. Pia asubuhi tulishuhudia mwakilishi wa bunge aliyekuwa wa hapa Mumbuni anaitwa Paul Museku, alikuwa anaongea na agents wa Wiper pale katika shule moja ambapo alionekana ni kama alikuwa anagawa pesa, alafu watu wakamfurusha na kulitokea vurugu. Wacha tusikie kwa wachache ambao wamepiga kura hii siku ya leo. Karibu, naanze na jina. Naangalia kamera.
Kama jina yangu naitwa Catherine Zilani Mwansia. Nikakuja kupiga kura, nikakuta eneo inaendelea vizuri, tukapiga kura kwa amani na bado kunaendelea tu vizuri. Bado watu wanakuja wanatoka tu vizuri. Hakuna shida sana, ni watu tu wanaleta shida, lakini hakuna shida sana. Kunaendelea tu na kuwa kuzuri. Tuko tu hapa tunaendelea tu na kuangalia tu. Watu wanakuja wanatoka, wanakuja wanatoka. Hivyo tu.
Hebu tueleze, tumeona umeingia kwa kituo umechelewa na kuna laini kubwa ama foleni. Hebu tueleze umepiga kwa dakika ngapi?
Nimepiga tu kwa dakika chache kama 5 hivi.
Na kwa wale wengine bado hawajapiga kura na wako nyumbani, unaweza waambiaje?
Wale wako nyumbani naweza kuambia wakuja, kwa sababu tumekaa kwa muda mrefu bila MCA. Na sasa tunashukuru Mungu kwa sababu wakati umefuka sasa wa kupata MCA. Ni kwa sababu tunajua Mungu atatenda.
Naam, huyo ni mpiga kura kutoka eneo la Kasinga. Wacha tusikie mzee wako hapa. Anza na majina na utueleze umefika aje na umeona hili zoezi linaendeleaje?
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Modekai Mamunye. Nimefika hapa katika kituo cha upigaji kura cha Kasinga kitu saa 8 hivi, na jambo ambalo limeshangaza ni kwamba hakuna wapigaji kura. Watu wapigaji kura ambao wako hapa ni wachache sana, ishara ya kwamba by election hii watu hawajajitokeza kwa wingi. Kila ambacho ningependa kuwasihi wale ambao wako nyumbani wajitokeze, tupige kura, ndo at least tuweze kuchagua mwakilishi wetu wa wodi, ndio at least tuwe na maendeleo katika sehemu yetu.
Naam, umesikia kutoka kwa wapiga kura kutoka eneo ambapo katika kinyang'anyiro hiki kimekuwa na watu karibu 10, ambapo kinyang'anyiro hiki kinaonekana vuta ni kuvute kutoka kwa aliyekuwa gavana wa Machakos Alfred Mutua na aliye kwa sasa gavana wa Machakos Wavinya Ndeti, ambapo kila mmoja wao ako na mgombezi katika kinyang'anyiro. Katika chama cha Wiper wamesimamisha Anton Kisoi, chama cha UDA wamesimamisha Misi Mutua, pale chama cha maendeleo Chapchap kimesimamisha Harrison Wambua, Naomi Nduko ako na chama cha UPA, kuna Johnson Benson Mwema ambacho ako na chama cha People's Trust Party, ambapo Steven Mutua pia amesimama kama independent, na pia kuna Kalwetha Mutisia na Richard Nzioki wa chama cha CCU. Tutaendelea kuwajuza mengi tukiendelea kuangalia vile matokeo itakuwa. Kutoka kaunti ya Machakos nikiripotia runinga Citizen, mimi ni Enoch Musui.
Enoch Musui there in Machakos County, giving us an assessment of the situation. And one dominant theme, which has been the common denominator, is how watchful the public was this morning across all the polling centers. And it was the same scenario there as it was in Mbeere North, where we'll be going to shortly, where the Labour CS Alfred Mutua also was met with rather very hawk-eyed public who were concerned about his presence at the polling station, and Enoch there giving us a detailed breakdown of what that scenario was all about this morning in the ward by-election, where we do understand is also hotly contested, one that largely may have an impact on the politics of Ukambani region.
There was that caution that was issued by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior yesterday, Kipchumba Murkomen, that they would not allow loitering around the polling stations. Once you vote, you leave if you're not accredited, to be there. Let's take a look at the Mbeere North candidates, as well as the number of registered voters there. And we have, of course, should we begin with the candidates or the number of registered voters?
First, the people, 55,124.
All right.
Who have headed to the ballot.
Okay.
Not sure about the percentage in terms of the turnout. But Emmanuel Tor reported this morning that 43% as at mid-morning.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
By mid-morning, that's a good turnout.
Should be done above 50 by when polling stations will be closing.
All right. So in terms of the candidates, we have UDA's Leo Wamudhende Njeru, who voted earlier today. There's also Newton Kariuki Ndwiga of the Democratic Party of Kenya, who is more popularly known by, I think, as Newton Karish.
Yeah, Karish, yeah.
And then we have Duncan Ireri Mbui of Chama cha Kazi, Daniel Ireri Ngari of the Kenya Moja Movement, Lawrence Mwaniki Ireri of Safina Party.
And the list continues to the others who are also seeking the mandate from the 55,124 Kenyans in Mbeere North constituency. Albert Murimi Ngari, Ruben Murithi Njeru, Simon Mwaura Waiharo, and Isaac Ngiri Morengi of the United Progressive Alliance. And equally, this is one that has tested the IEBC, isn't it, Olive, given what our colleague Emmanuel Tor yesterday managed to report of the roadblocks that were erected to restrict the movement of personnel in and out of Mbeere North, and by extension the eye they were keeping on Embu County. And the detailed breakdown also given to us by the Dr. Alutalala Mukhwana, the commissioner at the IEBC, saying this is informed by prior intelligence by the Ministry of Interior. Of course, the IEBC doesn't bear any responsibility in terms of security, but liaises with the other arms of government and agencies, including the Ministry of Interior. So we have the events of the morning in Mbeere North. So let's take a look at some of them and take a look at what happened. Also, one that involved the former Attorney General J.B. Muturi and former Speaker of the National Assembly and a former cabinet member who had taken keen interest in this, being Embu County, where he hails from.
Because he has a candidate.
Putting an emphasis, of course, on the relevance this bears, given he is the leader of the Democratic Party and the candidate there. One of the candidates is a DP candidate, and therefore which gives us an understanding perhaps of the enormous investment he has made politically to the campaigns before the by-election.
It's interesting that one of the dailies today phrased this as a contest between a proxy war, I think it was a terminology they used, between President William Ruto and his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. So high stakes, former Deputy Rigathi Gachagua. So it's a high stakes election. You know, some also see it as a, again, quote-unquote dress rehearsal for 2027, a litmus test for the IEBC in the interest of engendering, building public confidence in their independence and their ability to deliver a free and fair, credible poll.
And that's the commitment Ethicon and team have made. I mean, this is a new commission, but the test then is now with 6 constituency by-elections, 1 Senate and 15 members of county assembly candidates who are seeking the mandate at the ward level. Being a new commission, as Dr. Mukhwana yesterday pointed out too, and this has been the problematic area. It's the political influence which then spreads over to the operations of the commissions. And it's one thing that also the former chairperson of the previous commission, Wafula Chebukati, they decried about in an address to the people of Kenya, saying there is pollution on the part of the political establishment in undermining, deliberately so, the workings and the operations of the poll body in the country, and that has been historic, dating back to the previous commissions, Isaac Hassan up to Samuel Kiviutu. Ethicon therefore has a lot on his plate, and I mean this is going to be a curtain raiser for him going into 2027.
And the violence we've already witnessed has undermined the very credibility of these polls, and incidents of chaos have been witnessed during today's by-elections and on the eve yesterday
of the electoral contest,
the electoral contest in various parts of the country. And the images there on your screen are from Malava constituency.
This is the vehicle belonging to the Democratic Action Party of Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa that was authoritatively confirmed, and you can see it's the extent of not only the damage but also the environment. I mean, one of the voters there who spoke, and we have him on record, just where this vehicle was touched, said, what's the point of turning up to vote if then the election is all this violent? I mean, it speaks to the premium the politicians place and the candidates placed on the politics in this country. I mean, this is so unthinkable. I mean, the violence in just one constituency and in a by-election.
Yes, Wamalwa being the party leader of the Democratic Action Party of Kenya, and their candidate in the Malava by-election is Seth Panyako. Did you see the explosion there?
Yep, and he last night decried attempted assassination at his hotel, and we had seen people who have been arrested, videos circulating on social media, and this is also another damage done on one of the vehicles. Even before polling day, this was a vehicle that was equally targeted, and it's the deliberate deployment of young Kenyans who are unemployed. We just did the report by Oxfam last night here on the broadcast, the inequalities and the taking of advantage of young Kenyans who are exploited by the political establishment to do the political deeds that they want the politicians to do, and accomplishments of such activities which are illegal by law also points to then, as I have mentioned, the premium which politicians place on the politics in our country. Another one here, look at these luxurious vehicles that were damaged. It tells us a lot about
it is indeed quite
the nature of our politics, and very troubling in any sense. I mean, one that, because our political stability depends or informs a lot of other things, and much depends on it, including foreign direct investment. It's a very sane political environment where investors, Olive, would want to place their shilling, not a chaotic political environment, and that has been
and you can only hope
culture.
After these incidents have occurred that there will be accountability, and those that are responsible will be held accountable.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Yeah, that's the point again. Look at the damage that was done to the vehicles and stuff, which all then gives us a sense of the fear that surrounds our political environment heading into the next election. And this is just from Malava, the earlier pictures you can see of the damage done on the houses and the vehicles that were certainly not part of the determinant outcome of the polls today. Only Malava having such an enormous, experiencing such level of violence this morning. Voting is still underway, and once the polling process will conclude, then we'll be able to give you the updates from the polling centers where that much awaited process of counting the ballots will be underway. And it is going to be somewhat, again, politically one that will inform how the environment will look like in 2027, given the fragile nature of the Kenyan democracy, more or less what was coined as peace first and violence after, since 1992, after multipartyism and the subsequent elections which had experienced post-poll chaos, except in 2002, which led to the historic defeat of the KANU government after Mwai Kibaki emerged the winner, and victorious, of course, over then protege Uhuru Kenyatta, who ended up winning the seat in 2013, Olive.
All right, just a reminder of who we have in the field, keeping an eye on events as they transpire. We have in Malava constituency, Melita Olatenges. We have in Baringo County, Stephen Leto. We have in Kasipul, Gatete Njoroge, in the company of Crispin Otieno. We also have in Magarini, Francis Mtalaki. In Ugunja constituency, we have Laura Otieno. Ayub, have I left anyone out?
Not yet. Stephen Leto in Baringo.
Yes, I did mention that.
And shortly you'll be getting to Melita
We'll be hearing directly from Melita Olatenges.
Kariobangi North, Seth Olale.
And in the rest of the team, we also have Ben Kirui actually covering the Narok Town ward by-election. So we are represented across the country, but we have witnessed incidents of violence in the hotly contested constituencies, including in Malava constituency. Those are the images that are on your screen. We did see, and pardon me for using this colloquialism, Justin Muturi akishika mtu mashati. Perhaps you could translate that? Grabbing someone by the collar.
Well, yesterday, ideally, what we had seen was, Olive, the pronouncement made by the Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen, and with which we had followed up with Dr. Lutalala Mukhwana, who said only accredited personnel will be allowed into polling stations. And this morning, what caught the attention of many was that the former Attorney General, having served as the lead attorney for the government at some point, did not show his badge either or his accreditation before wanting to access one of the polling centers, and which led to concerns because his rationale was that he's the party leader of the DP, which doesn't give you the guarantee or the access to the polling centers. I mean, it's an issue that has raised many concerns among especially advocates who
the political context, though, is that there are concerns on either side, because the accusations have been lobbed across the political aisle that there are intentions to interfere with the polls. And so, you know, you can then, there comes the whole idea of kulinda kura. But as you said, the Interior Cabinet Secretary was very clear that unless you are accredited, you should not, once you vote, you should clear out of the polling station. But take a look at the reporters we have there on your right.
And ideally, Olive, then, also the law does envision that the process is very clear, and there are accredited agents who, of course, are there to witness the counting process at any given time, which then, therefore, should inform the confidence of all the parties that are contesting in the by-elections across the country. Here is our battery of reporters who are covering these by-elections. And Emmanuel Toh is in Mbeere North. He is our political affairs reporter. Mbeere North is in Embu County. Melita Olatenges shortly. Olive will be engaging him from Malava constituency in Kakamega County. Laura Otieno has been in Ugunja in Siaya County. Stephen Leto in Baringo County. The difference here is that he has been covering the county-wide, and this informs the extent of also the challenges on the part of Steve and the IBC team, since flooding has caused many schools, Olive, in Baringo County to submerge, and these are supposed to have been the polling stations, but there are other contingency measures that the IEBC said it has put in place for the people of Baringo South to take part in the election of the Senate. Crispin Otieno is in Kasipul in his company, Gatete Njoroge. Here is a duo in Homa Bay County. They will be telling us also more about the tight race between Aroko, the independent candidate, and the son of the late MP who was assassinated in Nairobi, Boyd Were. Francis Mtalaki in Magarini constituency in the county of Kilifi. This is the battery of reporters who are covering the by-elections for us, as well as Seth Olale, who is in Kariobangi North here in Nairobi County, as well as Ben Kirui, who is in the county of Narok, keeping an eye on the ward by-elections, but one that has attracted a lot of interest, where the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was tear-gassed, where he decried thereafter what he said was compromised commissioners at the IEBC, and saying that there are plans to also interfere with the polls in Narok town. Olive, over to you.
All right, as you mentioned earlier, I am joined now by Melita Oletenges, who is in Malava constituency. Melita, I see it is quite hot where you are, and I saw earlier quite literally a vehicle set on fire. Perhaps you can tell us what the nature of the voting exercise has been this far.
Well, Olive, you are right. Heat has formed a collage, both as an inferno and the temperatures here in Malava constituency. And as you rightly put it earlier, we had an incident where a vehicle was raised down, a Land Cruiser Prado belonging to the party leader of DAPK, Eugene Wamalwa. And how this panned out, Olive, is that supporters of Seth Panyako, who are in the company of DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa, collided or clashed with supporters of David Ndakwa, who are also along the same route in Butali Ward, and that led to that particular clash. And shortly after, there was a shot that was fired from a pistol pointed directly to a tire belonging to that car, and shortly after, the vehicle went up in flames and raised down there and then. And this particular incident has been the pinnacle of violence here in Malava, regarding considering rather that even tonight, or rather yesterday night, we had reports that Seth Panyako had been accosted and was being battered by goons at a place called Kaburengo, not so far from where we are. And that incident also happened, and we've had Seth Panyako go and report that incident to the police, and that has been actually been misconstrued to him being arrested. We can confirm that he was going to give a report there, and that is where he actually was at that moment. And Olive, where we are right now, this is Shitirera polling station, which is also a primary school. It has two streams. Malava constituency has 117 polling centers and 198 polling stations. So here it is a polling center with two streams. And what we've witnessed from early morning, Ayub and Olive, is that the voter turnout has been very unpredictable. And earlier in the morning, we saw queues building up, but as the day went on, we saw them becoming shorter and shorter. And as you can see behind me, there's no queue really, because people have been filtering here one by one, as opposed to having them in queues. And it is about 3:03 p.m., and we'll just get the data shortly from the presiding officer at this polling station. So that is the situation. So far, we have been updated that out of about 545 people who are registered here as voters, only 229 have voted. That is at around 2:40 p.m. I've seen one or two more walk in, so that number might have gone up. We shall be getting it from the PO shortly. So this means about 38.3% voter turnout, and or rather 42% voter turnout. In the second stream, we have out of 545 voters as well, we only have 209 who have turned up to vote. So you can see the difference there is about 340 voters who have not turned up to vote yet. So you can see there is a bit of a very, very slow motion in terms of people coming here to vote. Allow me to speak to the presiding officer shortly, sir. If you can join me here, you can just start with your name and tell us how has the voting process been so far, any challenges in terms of voter identification, or what can you say about the voting process generally?
Thank you. My name is Mwalati. I'm the PO, Shitirira 1. So far we started off well the process, and so far we have not had any incident in terms of security-wise. In terms of voter identification, the KIMS kit is really working well. That one we can assure to the voters. So far we have been able to, at this moment, we have been able to verify at about 236 voters. That's about 43%. So we've not had a very long queue. Voters are just trickling in one by one. So we expect that for the remaining 1 or 2 hours, there'll be more and more, so that we at least achieve 50%. So far, we don't have any issues, and yeah, that's what I can say as per now.
We are at around 3 or 5 p.m. So that means we are counting about an hour and 55 minutes before we close the polling station. Perhaps from here now, as the PO, what happens next?
After closing the station at 5 p.m., there's always a break, a brief break, and then we come in for the polling or the counting, whereby now we'll have the media, the agents and everything. There's a layout for the same, and then we'll go through the whole process of counting vote each candidate. Then at the end of the day, we'll fill the form 35A. That will the candidates per vote. Then from there, we'll be able to submit the same to the RO, at the returning officer at the polling center. Yes.
Thank you very much. And of course, Olive, as per that information by the PO, that means that after signing the Form 35A, which will be signed primarily here at the polling station, then all these votes that have been tallied in the polling station will be now forwarded, and physically so, by the presiding officer, deputy presiding officer. All the clerks will be heading to the constituency tallying center, where now the constituency returning officer Salim Abdallah Salim will be tallying all the votes from all the polling stations across the 7 wards of Malava constituency, and thereafter we shall have Form 35B, which will now indicate all the tally from all the polling stations across the constituencies. And after that, Form 35C is the last form that will be filled, and that essentially is the certificate that will be given to the winner of this particular political contest. So we are keeping tabs on what is happening so far. Violence witnessed in some parts of Malava constituency, violence reported yesterday night as well. Seth Panyako saying that he was attacked, and so far we've had security agencies responding to that. We've seen security being beefed up in that part of Butali ward as well, and so we are keeping tabs. We are on top of this matter, and of course, even as we head now to the whole tallying process, which shall be happening at Malava Boys High School, which is the constituency tallying center. So back to you, Olive and Ayub.
Quick one, Melita, because I know I need to release you to go. You have more rounds to do. But perhaps you could tell us, Melita, has the IEBC responded to the violence that has been witnessed in Malava today and yesterday in connection with the poll?
Well, Olive, the chaos yesterday, actually at night, we got a call at around 2 a.m. in the morning, and this call particularly came from the circles of supporters of Seth Panyako, who told us that the leader, or rather the candidate, had been attacked at a hotel in Kaburengo, where he had camped together with his team, and allegations pointing that they were attacked by supporters of different faction. And Seth Panyako spoke to that earlier, saying these were goons that were well organized. He's saying that it was a premeditated plot, and he's also went ahead to say that his life is in danger. And so we saw police responding to that, and to that effect, actually, after casting his vote, he went ahead to report the case to the police, and I am yet to get a confirmation from him officially, but we want to speak to him and also get the details of that. And Olive, the other particular incident that happened earlier on is that we had the DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa moving in the grassroots. He was also part of the team that escorted Seth Panyako to vote at St. Joseph's Linyu polling station, and thereafter, as they were now making or weaving their way through the constituency, is when they met that particular clash with supporters from now the government allied politician, that is David Ndakwa of UDA. That is why that particular incident unraveled in Butali ward, and now we have DCI officers who have opened investigations into that particular incident. And also we spoke earlier to David Ndakwa after casting his vote, and he's also said that he has full confidence that the election will be carried out free and fairly by the IEBC. And we asked him about the chaos being witnessed, and he's also pulling on his side. He's saying that he's not part of it, just as Seth Panyako has also been saying that I am keeping off violence. So it's really a push and pull, a tug of war of sorts between these two political heavyweights going head-to-head in this particular constituency. They have really been at it from since when the race was announced, and this race has narrowed down from 9 candidates to now 6 candidates battling out in the ballot, although all the names of all the 9 candidates who had initially been ratified by the IEBC are still on the ballot. Even as they come here into the polling station, the ballot papers they're given contains the list of all the 9 candidates that were initially passed by the IEBC. So we are expecting later, Olive and Ayub, once the polling stations close at around 5 p.m., then we shall be witnessing movement of presiding officers taking back all the ballot boxes, ballot papers to the constituency tallying center, as well as the results that they will have tabled on the form 35A. And thereafter now we will have all the votes being tallied. Remember, Malava constituency has 7 wards, and all this exercise is going on. We have weaved through a number of wards already. We have been to around 10, 15 polling stations thereabout, and we are still looking to at least get to maybe 2 or 3 before closing time. And thereafter, we shall also be bringing our viewers up to speed with what is happening. And this trend about Malava low voter turnout is something that is not new in this constituency. Even when the late member of parliament was being elected into office, it's something that was witnessed also in 2022. The voter turnout was then at around 57% or 52% thereabout, if I'm not wrong, and it's something that people are also talking about, and being considering, or given that this is a by-election, Olive, these are factors that are playing out in terms of people coming out. Many of them, we've met them in the grassroots. Some of them are saying that they will come later to vote. Some of them are saying that they don't see the need to vote. And some are also saying that, we have already voted and we are just expecting to see the results. There was that tension in the morning hours, but now there is a lull. Things are moving quite smoothly as at the moment, and we haven't had any other major incident being reported from this part of the country. Olive.
All right, thank you for that brief, Melita Oletenges. And this is not a question, I'm just curious whose cat that is guarding the ballot box. We call it Kanyau. What do you guys call it?
I'll tell you some other time.
All right, thank you, Melita.
Thank you. So before we go to Magarini constituency and to get the details of the by-election there, first, there's an update from Mumboni North Ward by-election, which kicked off on Thursday with polling stations that had mixed voter turnout, even as locals expressed confidence that the exercise would usher in a leadership that will prioritize development. Security had remained tight, though the member of County Assembly, Paul Museku, was roughed up earlier in the day of allegations of voter bribery. He said he was dealing with the agents when that happened. There were also tensions at Kasinga Primary School after voters demanded that CS Alfred Mutua leave after voting. A section of the crowd uncomfortable with the cabinet secretary addressing the media at the polling station. And let's have a look at the polling station. Here are the pictures on your screens, and we're listening to some of the events that happened in the morning. And this is the incident which happened in the morning, which led to the kicking out of the member of County Assembly who said he was attending to the poll agents, but that led to discomfort on the part of those who have been watching over the Mumbuni North Ward by-election in the county of Machakos, which had also experienced its fair share of uncertainty in the build-up to the campaigns, as we had seen on Sunday, where vehicles belonging to the campaign team of the UDA candidate were stoned and stationed at Machakos police station, where the member of parliament from the neighboring Makueni County, and who led to the production of the motion which had led to the impeachment of the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua. I'm talking about Mwangi Mutuse, decried what he said was violence that led to the destruction of their property. As you can see, Olive, such unfortunate scenes for a small unit of our electoral architecture, but it speaks a lot about how we have put a lot of premium on politics in Kenya.
All right, just to give some context to those pictures you just saw on your screen, the MCA Paul Museku, according to Enoch Musui, who we heard from earlier, was roughed up over allegations of voter bribery. He said he was dealing with agents. There was also tension at the Kasinga Primary School after voters demanded that the Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Alfred Mutua, leave after voting. A section of the crowd uncomfortable with him addressing the media at the polling station, and you can see some of those images play out on your screen.
And here was when he was ejected, as Enoch had briefed us, leading to the intervention of the security personnel. So much on it also because they were also very uncomfortable with the presence of the Labour CS Alfred Mutua, who after voting intended to address the members of the media, but he was denied that opportunity, leading to also the brief stop of what was intended to have been a news conference with members of the media, but that never happened. But still, these are the pictures from earlier in the morning, where people had lined up to vote for the next member of County Assembly Mumbuni North in Machakos County, and the intensity very evident, as you can see all over our screens, and the extent to which the people who have been very keen on the electoral process also managed to kick out the MCA. Here we go, are the pictures when he was ejected, giving the sense that he was attending to the agents, but there's a laid-down procedure for that, and the payment process of even the agents for any political entity. It ought not to be a process where you can pay them at the polling station. That should be done before or after the election, and
definitely
the extent,
constituents and voters are keeping a very watchful eye.
Very, very watchful. That
this election is carried out in a transparent and a credible manner. Integrity of the poll being paramount. We also had incidents in Mbeere North earlier, scuffle, if I can put it that way. We have those pictures as well, and we'll be airing them to you. There you go. That is Mbeere North, and that is the former Speaker of the National Assembly and former Attorney General Justin Muturi. And there, again, the issue of people keeping a watchful eye on who hangs around, to use a colloquialism, the polling stations.
Which isn't supposed to be the responsibility of any political party or a member of a political entity or party. But
unless they're an agent and accredited.
Ideally, yes. And they are sitting in there, the polling station, to keep an eye on the process as well. And they can raise any concern that they have with the polling officer who is there, the presiding officer. It ideally should be a smooth process, but tells you about the
high stakes,
and the intensity, and the match of the life and death premium that we place on politics in Kenya. And here is the former Attorney General who wanted some clarity on a personnel. He said that he suspected was not there with good intentions, going after him to confront him. And these are the pictures that were given to us by our reporter Emmanuel Toa, and also still in Mbeere North, where you can see the former Attorney General and the Democratic Party leader also wanting some clarification on the presence of some people, he said, or suspected to have been elements, he said, were meant to interfere with the poll process.
So it speaks to the suspicion surrounding this by-election. As you said earlier, this is indeed a test for not only IEBC, but the security agents and the political players as well. Let's take a look now at what happened earlier in Magarini. And we are told by Francis Mtalaki that the voting exercise there was largely peaceful, with the exception of Marereni, where Kilifi South Member of Parliament Ken Chonga was chased away by residents. The residents are uncomfortable with his presence at the polling station. The turnout has been low, with majority of polling stations registering long queues in the morning. And you can just see how that voting exercise was being carried out earlier in Magarini. Just to repeat that brief for you, the voting exercise was largely peaceful, with the exception of Marereni, where Kilifi South Member of Parliament, and this is in Magarini, Ken Chonga was chased away by residents. The residents were uncomfortable with his presence at the polling station, but the turnout generally has been low. We had the same from Melita or Letenges, but that is what happens customarily, not really customarily, but experientially with by-elections. Yeah,
it's also the weight of what by-elections do carry, which is why then provides the explanation of why this has been very high stakes, and the perception that it will shape 2027, and also on the part of those who are in power, the incumbents, and for the opposition or their challengers, and how the outcome will therefore shape the narrative heading into next year in 2026. And the last quarter, October to December, will provide the perfect time for the campaigns to begin. Ideally, we have been campaigning for the past 3.5 years, including the executive, and it's why then Malava has experienced that level of violence and the concerns that locals have expressed. And we had seen Mbeere North as well, and in Magarini as well, where Ken Chonga actually caused some discomfort at one of the polling stations, as Francis had detailed. And that, Olive, gives us a sense of the culture of politics in our country.
But I think it also speaks to just how invested the electorate itself is in credible polls. They're quite invested in the outcome being the actual outcome and not cooked, to use another colloquialism. Not
vifaranga via computer, as our former late Prime Minister had coined in the aftermath of the 2017 elections. And this has been, Olive, if you look at our history, post-multipartism, that has been the trend in what one of the major observers on Kenyan politics have said. It's the case of peace first and violence after. The point of the post-election violence in the aftermath of the polls, one that we vividly recall, was the 2007-8 post-election violence, which pushed us to the edge of civil strife, had it not been the Grand Coalition government following the presidential election and what happened thereafter with the swearing in of President Mwai Kibaki, the late, and the former Prime Minister agreeing to form the Grand Coalition government. And we are talking about 22 electoral units, because the other two, ideally, as you had mentioned last night, will not be having, there will be no contest. So that will lead to the gazettement.
One in Elgeyo Marakwet and one in Uasin Gishu County.
Only 22 units, and of which 15 are ward by-elections, 6 constituency, 1 Senate. So we'll be talking about 290 constituencies in 2027, and 47 Senate seats, 47 gubernatorial seats, and 47 women MP seats, plus, of course, the 1,450 ward by-elections. That's going to be an enormous assignment for this new commission, and this is just going to be a moment where they will be watching and get back to the drawing board and address some of the issues today had cropped up. as we head into the next election.
All right, so some numbers for you now. We have the number of registered voters at 80,128 in Magarini constituency.
This is a huge number compared to the other constituencies, is it?
It's a significant number.
I think this is the second after
the 90?
The Senate's 90?
No, Senate is 200 plus.
Yeah, after the Senate. I think this
280?
is 200,000 plus.
Okay.
80 is a lot in Magarini.
All right.
Quite huge number.
Okay, so the candidates are Harrison Garama Kombe, ODM, Samuel Kombe Nzai, Wiper Patriotic Front, Stanley Karisa Kenga of the Democracy for the Citizens Party, Sarah Wahito Gakahu of the Kenya Moja Movement, Furaha Chengo Ngumbao of the Democratic National Alliance, and if we could continue looking at that list, we also have on there Jacob Themo Kwicha of the Federal Party of Kenya, John Sulubu Masha of the Kenya Social Congress, Hamadi Chadi Karisa of the Roots Party of Kenya, Emmanuel Kitsao Kalama of the We Alliance Party, and Amos Katana Kalama, an independent. But as you were speaking earlier, Ayu, just again, you were talking about the number of the number of elections that IEBC would have to deal with come 2027, but we expect them at any moment now to give us an indication of what the voter turnout has been so far and respond to the incidents we have witnessed. Yesterday you had spoken to Alutalala Mukwana, who is in Magarini, whose images are on the screen, and he did detail the complaints process for the IEBC. It'll be interesting to see whether they will have a statement to make on those incidents, or they will simply say we leave it to the authorities. But it does undermine, again, the credibility of the polls, because there is also fear instilled when you see vehicles are being burnt or stoned, and you might think twice about or reconsider going to the ballot. But definitely high stakes elections. We also have the ward by-elections, and in Narok we have in Narok town. Where we have Ben Kirui, who is on ground, and these are some images from earlier as the voting process took place, and you can see there where that polling station is, and that's what you can see on your screen.
Also, all of you have mentioned a very pertinent point. It is then what happens in the aftermath of these by-elections. What is going to be certain is that the Commission will have an evaluation report, of course, to look at some of the issues that have been raised and how largely the by-elections had shaped up the campaigns, the complaints, which more or less is going to be a learning curve for Erastus Edung Ethekon and company, because being new and ideally at an embryonic stage, it's certainly a test of them now having a sip of Kenya's political waters and the avalanche of complaints that were raised, and some to which the Commission had responded through writing, and also as expounded on last evening by Dr. Alutalala Mukwana, points to how then the Commission will prepare for a rather peaceful process as we head into the next election. The test is also equally on the same wavelength as the political establishment, but the neutrality with which the IEBC is viewed, the referee being the umpire, is certainly different, because handling parties, especially in Kenya's political arena, is not an easy assignment. And which therefore tells us why then there have been these pockets of violence and the patchwork of destruction that we had witnessed in Malava yesterday before polling day today, and also in Mbeere North, where the former Attorney General and the DP party leader, J.B. Muchuri, had by himself followed up on people he suspected were not there with good intentions, which therefore tells us how then these by-elections have carried their fair share of weight in terms of how the outcome will influence the political perception in the country, and who then will have the, as we say in football, the bragging rights by Monday when the next week begins.
A test of popularity of sorts.
Yeah, and of course Sunday during the church services, which will be then the talk of setting the political tone as we head into the week that will start on Monday, and then thereafter the continuity.
Okay, so the different factors have contributed to, have led to the by-elections. There are those who passed away in office, Kasipo, Baringo, but in a
Banisa
situation...
also. The first, actually, Banisa had never had an MP for 2 years plus.
Yeah, it has been a long
March
wait for some of these
2023.
constituents. And then, but when you look at a situation like Ugunja, where the Member of Parliament was appointed to the cabinet and therefore vacated his parliamentary office, so those are the circumstances that have led us to where we are today. And in a situation such as that of Banisa, of course, there was no IBC substantive. Should I put it that way? Yes. So... so when they came into office then, which is what led up to these by-elections, and the campaign period expired on Monday at 6 p.m. and by law the ballot stations are opened at 6 a.m. closed at 5, but of course the time is extended if there was a delay.
And extraordinary circumstances, as we had seen in Baringo South, where most of the polling stations were submerged, and there were fears by the commission that because of the danger, they have gazetted other areas, but still they will be casting their ballot, and in cases where there are going to be circumstances that will then push the deadline of voting, then that communication will be provided by the commission, the IEBC.
All right. And those images on your screen are from, is that Nairobi, Kariobangi?
Yes.
Yes, Kariobangi North.
And polling will close, as Monica has indicated, in 1 hour, 27 minutes and 39 seconds.
Yeah, she's even put a clock up there.
So meaning they should be closing by 5.
Keep track of time. All right, we're joined now by a guest who will help us break down the events that have transpired this far. We have Frederick Ogweno, who is the CEO, People's Bench. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
If you don't mind my asking, what is the People's Bench?
The People's Bench is a YouTube channel. Actually, I'm wearing almost 3 hats. I work for Interregional Peace Network as the executive director.
That's how I knew you. So this is new to me.
A new kid on the block. Yes, but I'm also a journalist, as you know. So I think we are birds of the same feathers.
All right. So we'll ask you to wear your political analytical cap. We've witnessed in some areas voting going on without too much, too much of an issue. But then we have certain areas, Malava, Bere North, where we've seen incidents of violence. What is it about these two constituencies, for instance, that makes them so hotly contested?
I think first and foremost, there is nothing unusual that we have witnessed today, starting from low voter turnouts, because there is something that we anticipated and we expected it, going by the previous or the past by-elections that we have seen in the last years. And so what we have seen in terms of voter turnout is something that we expected, considering that if you look at what would be the driving factor that could motivate people to take to the ballot, if you look at, for example, Baringo North, where Baringo, where we are seeing very low, very low voter turnout. You see, there wasn't enough motivation after KANU chairman Gideon Moi pulled out, and so they had nothing to take to. Again, there is coming just yesterday, we were having some report by Oxfam that gave us, the gap between the rich and the poor. So these elections have turned out to be a game of the rich, where they display how much they have, and where they are able to see the poor come, making long queues as they are giving them a kilo of rice, a kilo of sugar, and then they display their opulence, So it is more of the rich, these by-elections, it is more of the political class than it is of the people. And that is why we are seeing, if you look at Kasipul Kabondo, for example, the two main candidates, look at the amount of money that they have been able to use in those, or in that elections. Look at also Malava. Look at the state, involvement. We have been seeing senior leaders of government camping there for a number of days or for weeks. Look at what is happening in Mbeere North. So you see, we've been seeing Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki camping there. So it tells you that there was very little to do with the people in these elections, and that is why we are witnessing low voter turnout. But when it's come to issues to do with violence...
That's an interesting perspective. You're saying these by-elections are more about what? Political muscle or...
Yeah, political muscles.
Yes, more than
exactly.
Service delivery?
Yes, and they are trying to test the waters. They are trying to see who is going to have the bragging rights, even as we are moving to 2027 elections. Because why would these elections be so important to former CS Fred Matiang'i that is able to camp in Kisii, where we are having by-elections in 3 wards? He's not left that place because he wants to tell Gachagua that even though you are saying that you people cannot support me, look, I have 3 wards and I've proven to you, or rather proved to you that I'm having my Gusii community solidly behind me. It is also a moment for Rigiji to try and show that he is solidly he has taken the mountain, He's not just walking at the foot, but he's climbed it to the top. And so it is very important to him. Same to what is happening between Natembeya and Wetangula. You would not see ordinary people in that game because they want to come back to tell President William Ruto that if we are coming back on the table, then there is what I'm bringing. And so it is more important to them to prove their relevance. Come to Kasipul, Kabondo, or rather Kasipul, where Gladys Wanga, some people have said that she's been behind Boyd Were, and there is the first election that we are having without Baba, the late Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. And so they have everything at stake to prove that ODM is still the party to beat, that ODM is still the party that controls politics in Luoland. But at the same time, there are those who are saying that for a very long time, people in Luo Nyanza did not get time to elect leaders that they want. And that is why you see the likes of Ivan Skidero. That is why you see the likes of those who are UDA senior politicians coming to back Mheshimiwa Aroko. Because now they want to see that even as we are heading to 2027, tickets are going to be with the people. That tickets are going to be with those who are going to control the masses. And so that is why I was saying that these elections is not about the people. And that is why people are saying, no, you only have 2 years. 2 years to do what what some of you are telling us they are going to do. Last week we saw the debate, particularly in Kasipul Kabondo, where we were having the candidates come. Some of them don't even understand the role of a member of parliament. But here they are promising you that they are going to bring heaven on earth. And that is why it is about chest thumping. It is about them showing what they are going to do and how they are going to face each other, even as we are headed to the next elections.
All right. Thank you. So we are going to take a break, but when we come back, there have been concerns around voter bribery, and that's why we've seen in some areas such as Mumbuni, we've seen in areas, or interference, tampering with the poll results. We've seen some incidents in Mumbuni. We've seen the same in Mbeere North. So concerns around either tampering with the vote or voter bribery. Perhaps you can speak to that trust deficit and how IEBC can bridge the gap. We take a break, but we continue on the other side. Anything to add?
After the break.